News 12 Lock Hall.
Hi there, good Sunday evening. I'm Neil Gordon. You know, traffic accidents can leave you with injuries, property damage, and of course plenty of bills to pay. So what if it isn't clear who was at fault? And what if the other driver just didn't have insurance? Is there a time limit for filing your claim? Well, if you've been in a wreck involving a car, truck, or motorcycle, we invite your calls this evening. We're going to take your questions live. The telephone number up on the screen, 803-442-4551. First, we want to let you know what's coming up on the dockets in the month of March. Elder law and estate planning on March the 4th. The following week, crime and punishment. And then on March the 18th, it is all about injuries. Well, joining us this week and most every week from the Vic Hawk Law Firm is Vic Hawk. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm doing great, Neil. How are you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Well, as we mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about traffic accidents and safety, but a little spin tonight because we have an expert in motorcycles.
That's exactly right. We're going to try to do a little special show for you tonight, but I still want to remind you that you can go to our website. If you have a question about an accident case, any kind of accident case, whether it be auto, truck, motorcycle, moped, you can go to our website and you can click on that little button and call directly into the office. And we'll be happy to talk with you. And one thing we haven't told you before that you should know, that we have offices not only in Augusta, but Evans, Thompson, and Waynesboro. And that's for your convenience. We hit the circuit quite often, but we look forward to seeing you whenever you can be there. Tonight, we're going to give you some information about motorcycles and mopeds. And we brought on who is recognized here locally as Georgia's motorcycle attorney. That's Richard Ingram. Richard has been practicing for over 22 years. He's developed a subspecialty in motorcycle law and is doing very good in helping families that have suffered losses during the course of a motorcycle accident. Richard, can you tell our viewers what they must do in order to protect themselves in the event that they ride motorcycles or mopeds on the streets?
Yes, Vic, it's very important to plan ahead. If you ride a motorcycle, it's an inherently dangerous act. However, I enjoy them, my friends enjoy them, many people in the community, but you've got to plan. And there are four things: driver's license, proper license, driver courses so you learn how to ride properly, proper insurance, and protective gear.
Yeah. Now, what kind of driver courses do they have to complete? A driver's license is not enough, is it?
Driver's license, Vic, is not enough. Georgia law requires, if you want to ride a motorcycle, if you're over 18 years of age and you only have a Class C license, which is for an automobile only, you have to go to the Department of Driver Services, take a written test, a visual acuity test, and then you are given a permit that's good for 6 months, and they expect you within that 6 months to take a driver's safety course at the Department of Driver Services, and thereafter you're given the full permit.
And tell our viewers what are some of the mistakes, common mistakes people make when they buy a motorcycle or they buy a moped and they think they're covered with the existing coverage?
Well, that's an oversight. There are many oversights. When you want a motorcycle or a moped, it's flashy, it's beautiful, you want to get on it, it's nice weather, you want to take it out, but you forget a lot of things, like the driver's license to begin with, though the moped, there's an exception for that. You forget about your insurance. You'll call your agent and say, hey, I just need coverage, this is the make and model of the bike. You don't talk about it in great detail. And then if a bad situation arises, then you've learned that you're inadequate on your coverage.
Right. Well, we've actually got several callers who've been chiming in already. You mentioned mopeds, of course. Jeff joining us from South Carolina. Jeff, can you hear us?
Turn your TV down, Jeff.
Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Just want to ask you to, yes, sir, if you could just turn your television down. We understand you have a moped, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is your question in relation to your moped?
Hey, Jeff, we'll answer your question.
I'm just wondering, does you have to have a license and a permit tag.
All right. We're not licensed in South Carolina, and I can refer you to someone very quickly right after the show, and I'll call you back after the show to answer that. But whether you have to have a license or not, I can tell you this: you need to have insurance, and you need to have not only liability insurance, you need to have uninsured motorist coverage, and a lot of it, because when you're involved in a motorcycle or moped wreck, generally it's your body against the car or the truck, and there's not a good result.
Have you, have you been involved in some cases involving mopeds? That's got to be really difficult. Are the laws, traffic laws, even any different at all than with a motorcycle?
They're not. Mopeds get, of course, much greater gas mileage, but there are exceptions under a certain CC. Street and Trail, for example, sells those. The owner there has told me under a certain CC you do not have to have insurance. You don't have to have the proper license. However, it's just a bad idea. Yeah. Even though it's a cheaper, more economical vehicle, it's still something that you can buy insurance for, and you should.
Yeah. We've got a safety question tonight from Tim from Aiken. Tim, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Super, fantastic. First of all, do you drive a motorcycle?
No, I don't. But my question is, I get pulled over because I have no seatbelt, but I have a doctor's note because I had back surgery and stuff, and I can't wear a seatbelt. It tightens up too much. But my question is, the police are always after anybody in a vehicle wearing a seatbelt, but yet you see these motorcycles and they have no helmet. Now, if they reckon to us or we reckon to them and they go flying, they have nothing to protect their head. Now, the law should be that they should be forced to wear a helmet no matter what.
Yeah.
Sure.
Tim, that's a good point that you make. And it's one that's hotly debated throughout the nation and from state to state, including South Carolina. South Carolina doesn't require helmets. And the only way that's going to change is by the petition of the communities to their legislatures to pass legislation to require helmets. And you're exactly right. If a motorcyclist is involved in a wreck, they're much more likely to be more seriously injured in the event that they don't have helmets, which again is another reason to make sure that you have plenty of insurance to cover you and your family in the event of a wreck.
And it's different now in Georgia, correct?
It is. In Georgia, you must wear a helmet, Tim. It's required whether you're young or old, new or experienced riding a motorcycle. It's required. Those who are attacking the helmet law in Georgia say that the statute's inherently vague as to what headgear actually is defined as, but the current law is that you must wear one.
Okay. Well, Brittany from Hephzibah has a question for our attorneys this evening. Brittany, are you there?
Yes.
Go right ahead. What is your question?
My little brother, he's 8. He got hit while he was riding his bike, and my mama got some paper in the mail saying the lady was trying to sue her. The lady was trying to sue my mama, and she's the one that hit my brother. I was wondering if she could do that.
Well, Brittany, let me tell you this. Anyone could file a claim against anyone else arising out of a disputed accident, a car pedestrian wreck. But I do want your mother to know that the uninsured motorist coverage that she has on her own cars at home will cover your brother to provide him some protection. If a pedestrian in Georgia is hit by a car and the other party's at fault, then they will be entitled to use their uninsured motorist coverage in the event that the at-fault party doesn't have any coverage. It's strange to the public, but very common in our work.
It is.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take our first time out, and we invite you to place some telephone calls to us tonight. The topic, traffic accidents, can be anything related to a car, a truck, or specifically motorcycles tonight, as we have on an expert attorney, Richard Ingram from Evans. The number 803-442-4551. You're watching News 12 Law Call.
With award-winning broadcaster Neil Gordon, and from the Vic Hawk law firm, Augusta attorney Vic Hawk, known as a tough courtroom fighter, helping injured people for more than 30 years, plus guest attorneys from across the CSRA. Your rights, your calls, live. News 12 Law Call.
More on traffic accidents in a moment. First, though, if you're approaching your golden years, you may be hearing the term power of attorney more and more often. So what does it mean? Well, personal injury attorney Reed Sanders explains in tonight's legal brief.
A durable power of attorney can be the most important estate planning document you have, even more important than a will. A power of attorney allows someone you appoint as your agent to handle business transactions for you. Your power of attorney should be drafted to fit your specific needs and spell out the things your agent can and cannot do on your behalf. Your agent's power could include making deposits into your account, writing checks on your behalf, buying or selling your home, and making charitable gifts. The power of attorney should state whether your agent may handle important accounts such as life insurance, IRAs, or a 401k. You can give your agent the right to make medical decisions for you, but this power must be specifically stated in the power of attorney. Power of attorneys are too important to rely on a fill-in-the-blank form. See a lawyer who specializes in estate planning or elder law to make sure that you are getting what you need. I'm attorney Reed Sanders of the Vic Hawk Law Firm. Back to you.
Thank you, Reed. Alongside Vic Hawk, we have a guest, Richard Ingram, an attorney from Evans, specializing in motorcycle type cases. And we're joined on the telephone by Joe from Aiken. Hello, Joe.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, just fine, just fine. I know you have a kind of an insurance question, but walk us through what happened in an accident you were involved in.
Involved in an accident where I was actually hit from, and he had with doctors. They were using the at-fault insurance information, her car insurance information. Speaking with an attorney, or they start using I was wondering why do that. It was covering everything.
A little difficulty hearing there. Were you able to?
Joe was basically asking Richard, and you can grab it, is should he use his private insurance when he's not at fault in the wreck?
Joe, what you're being told most likely is this: when there's an accident and the other party's insurance is not stepping up to the plate, not taking care of your property damage or your personal injury, oftentimes your counsel, even in South Carolina, though I'm not licensed in South Carolina, I know in Georgia we do this, we will contact your own insurance company because you have coverages unbeknownst to you that you've purchased to cover you under these conditions where there's a delay. And you may be able to use your coverage to pay for the repair of your bike or your automobile, and then your insurance company will recoup that money from the other party's company at a later time.
Okay, well, to the other side of the river now, we've got Richard from Evans. Hello, Richard. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, walk us through a little bit. We understand, do you drive a moped or a motorcycle?
No, I ride a bicycle, and Tim called in earlier, and he mentioned the fact of buying liability insurance for his moped. And this is something I've brought up with two different insurance agents I deal with. Most of them will not sell insurance to mopeds nor bicycles. And bicycles, sometimes some of us that ride 20,000+ miles a year can get up enough speed to do quite a bit of damage to a car if we hit you in the side or if we hit you head on, but we can't buy any kind of insurance to cover us.
Have you heard of that, Richard?
I'm aware of that, especially as it relates to a bicycle. Richard, there's not coverage for bicycles to my knowledge unless your homeowner's policy might extend to such as that. But for a moped, you should be able to find coverage. You would have to shop it around. I would say this, though, you should contact the insurance commissioner for the state of Georgia. They do have a telephone number in Atlanta, and I'm certain that they'll answer your question as to whether it's covered or not by state law, and if so, I'm sure if you make some more phone calls, you'll be able to find coverage for a moped. But as far as I know, for a bicycle, there's no coverage at this time.
And Richard, I remind you again that you should have uninsured motorist coverage on your vehicles, because as a bicyclist, if you're hit and the other party doesn't have insurance, or they take off and leave you on the side of the road, you could use your uninsured motorist coverage for the protection you need.
And of course, earlier we spoke of, you know, the helmet laws and the situations and how you can certainly have to go through head injuries and so forth, but I know you wanted to point out that it's not just your head that is really in danger when you're riding motorcycles or bikes.
That's true, Neil. Head injury obviously is the primary concern, head and neck injury, but however you can have other injuries, road rash, so you want gloves, proper clothing, boots, leather jacket, items of that nature that will protect your skin if you're knocked to the ground.
Richard, why do you always recommend leather jackets for safety reasons with motorcycle? I mean, it's not just for the looks, obviously.
You know, that's my age coming out. Leather jackets are the most common, but they do offer synthetics and Kevlar and the like. A lot of sport bike riders use those items nowadays, and they're clad at the elbows and the shoulders and important vital points to protect your body.
Now I feel old because I think of Fonzie.
That's right.
That's going through my mind. You know, with the leather coats. Hey, we want to take another short break and invite you to call in again with your questions about traffic accidents and the law, specifically motorcycles. Again, the number 803-442-4551. You're watching News 12 Law Call. Well, thanks so much to Evans attorney at law Richard Ingram for being with us today. You can reach him off air at 706-364-0444. He can also serve you anywhere in the state of Georgia, toll free at 877-81-BIKER, 877-81-BIKER, or online, richardingramlaw.com. There are 4 offices of the Vic Hawk Law Firm with Melissa Dechbende and Reed Sanders. The main number for you to call to set up an appointment to see which office is best for you is 706-722-3500. And Vic's website is vichawklaw.com. And once again, you can certainly email questions in for use at a later show date. Well, we want to welcome Nancy into the program from Aiken. And good evening, Nancy. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. Well, we understand you you did go through an accident back in 2010, and now insurance did cover the repair damage. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what's happened since?
About 2 weeks later, after they done fixed my car, then I started having mechanical problems with the wheel, with the axle. So I took that back to the shop, to my mechanic, and I got that fixed out of pocket. And about a week later, after I got that fixed, my head gaskets was cracked on my motor, which my car is back in the shop now. And I was wondering, can I have the insurance company, can I submit those bills back to the insurance company, or that's just something I would have to pay for out of pocket?
Nancy, as a general rule, when you have a situation like that where you already have repairs done, if you haven't signed a full release, you should be able to go back on it. But the problem that you're going to have from what you're describing is you really need a mechanic, an expert, to be able to confirm that the problems with the axle and even the head gaskets were related to the wreck. It'd be very unusual for head gaskets to be related to the wreck, but maybe the axles. But you need to consult with your mechanic, and if you can get a statement from them and then submit it to the insurance company, you should be able to get some help.
Well, speaking of accidents, Brian is joining us from South Carolina. Brian, we understand you were in a wreck in 2008, and the insurance company said they would not pay. And you're trying to get the military to get involved. Are you part of the military?
Yeah, so I'm in the National Guard.
Okay.
When I got my wreck, the insurance company would not pay for none of my medicals or nothing like that. And I got a letter from the military pay me in cap, like workers' comp and stuff, and they yet to do that or pay some of my medical bills.
Were you on the job at the time this happened? Or were you in the active duty military at the time this happened?
Yes.
Okay. And was there some other party at fault?
No, there wasn't.
Yeah. If you caused your own injuries, the only thing you can do is go to the military for your medical care or use what available MedPay insurance that you may have. But otherwise, you have to deal with it in that way. You don't have a claim against any other insurance company in a single car wreck or motorcycle accident, or if the other party wasn't at fault.
Okay. Well, we have another motorcycle question. Carolyn joins us from Georgia. How are you, Carolyn?
I'm doing okay.
Okay. What is your question for Attorney Richard Ingram tonight?
Yes, I would like to know, does a motorcycle have to be inspected in the state of Georgia before you have it insured?
Great question.
Yes, it is. Carolyn, I'm glad you asked that question. The answer is no, it does not have to be inspected before it's insured in the state of Georgia. But on a personal note and a professional note, I would recommend that you have it inspected. Wherever you purchase the bike or wherever you intend to have it serviced, have them check the tires for wear and tear, the chain, air pressures, and make sure it's in good working order. Your throttle cable, brakes, everything should be inspected. But the state of Georgia does not require the cyclist to have it inspected before insured.
Richard, can you explain how all of this comes together in the event that we have to file a lawsuit and you fail to take these steps that we recommended tonight?
Vic, it's quite simple. If you end up in a position where an insurance company does not want to pay your claim, as an attorney, I have to present your case. And as a punch list, I'd like to say my client has a proper license. They've been through the proper safety courses to learn how to ride a motorcycle. For yourself, you want proper insurance so it'll cover you in case the other party does not have enough coverage. And then last, if you're wearing protective clothing, helmet, jacket, shoes, and the like, then if you have to go to jury trial, or even if you're in a mediation, the third party who's going to hear your case is going to respect you more and say they did all they could do, they had the license, they had the training, they had the clothing, they were riding responsibly. So I would recommend that you have all those items and pull it together. That's why we have this punch list.
Well, you brought along a little bit of a light read for folks who maybe don't understand, and you promised to quiz Vic tomorrow after he takes a look at it. Do you pick up one of these manuals, I mean, at the dealership when you buy this, or at what point?
During events, such as a few that are coming up next few weeks, I'll have such a Department of Driver Services manual with me to hand out to passersby that are interested in riding motorcycles. But you obtain this at your driver's license bureau. Of course, they closed on Monday, so you can't get one tomorrow. But any other day of the week, you can go in and pick up this motorcycle operator's manual. It'll tell you everything you need to know, the test, the visual acuity, the rider training test, all those sorts of things.
And you know, one of the things that Richard just brought up are extremely important, especially if you have to use your own uninsured motorist coverage, because the insurance company puts on a whole different approach to the case, and they're no longer your friend. They're on the opposite side of you, and they'll go through that checklist as they prepare for trial.
Well, great point, and thank you so much.
Thank
we
you,
really
Neil.
learned a lot.
You bet. Thank you.
Very
Thank you, Richard.
Good to
Always
see you
good
this
to
evening.
see you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you to both of you so much. Great community service. And once again, we'll be back again next Sunday night. We'll be talking about wills, powers of attorney, estate planning, and so much more. Make it a wonderful work week ahead.
Thank y'all for calling.